everybody, my name is Venice Gonzalez and I'm going to be sharing my racial identity development. Upon doing the readings, I discovered that I mostly identify with the stages of identity development felt commonly by biracial people. I'm half white, half Mexican, and I grew up in a very Americanized household. We were not taught Spanish and we did not hold any traditional values or norms within my family. Um, I was also very unfamiliarized about oppression against people of color. So, race has always been a very complicated concept in identification for myself. Um, I always felt at odds. I always felt at odds in trying to describe my race or ethnicity to other people. I commonly felt too Hispanic for white people, even to this day, or too white for Hispanic people, especially if they speak Spanish. Since I'm a person of color, I also never really liked having to check the box in identifying that I'm racially white, because culturally I identify as Latina, and I know that I cannot have the same privileges as my white counterparts. In regards to experiencing institutionalized racism, my first time experiencing it firsthand was when we had military recruiters visit my high school and give a presentation on the benefits of joining the military and overall encouraging a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds to enlist by the time that they were 18. The presentation basically only highlighted the benefits, including health benefits and even offering to pay for schooling after your 4 years are up with the military. And at the time, I felt that this was very predatory and it made me feel uncomfortable, but I don't ever remember there being a discussion about it. So later that day when I went home, I actually looked up the prevalence of military recruiters visiting schools, and I actually found that military recruiters are much more likely to visit schools of lower SES status compared to higher income schools. And it turns out that higher income schools receive more visits by college representatives and career counselors, which I feel like I was rarely visited by. So overall, I felt that this was very predatory and made me feel very uncomfortable. The experience overall made me realize how even with a higher financial status, it made me realize how my racial and ethnic background can still position me as a target within systems, and how I am viewed as being somebody who is less likely to experience career or educational opportunities. During this stage, during experiencing this, I was in Erikson's developmental stage of identity versus role confusion, which is basically the time where individuals are trying to answer the big question of who am I? In this stage, we are also trying to identify a sense of self, and we are more aware of how other individuals might be viewing us. So prior to this event, I personally never questioned my own racial identity, even though I was very confused on how to identify with other groups. I was never in a position to question what it means to be a person of color. I grew up in a very sheltered way, I would describe. I was in a community with a low population of white people, and it was predominant. I was predominantly surrounded by other individuals of my same ethnic group. So experiencing racism was never really a thought in my head. I never really thought that that was something that I had to watch out for until I experienced this. I never viewed myself as somebody vulnerable to oppression. So being in the stage of development where I am trying to identify my sense of self, it was absolutely shocking to view myself as a target especially by an institution. Overall, this situation made me view myself in a very different light, and it made me realize that I am not immune to racism or systemic oppression. Because of this situation overall, I began to reflect on myself as a person of color, which was something that I never previously prioritized. I also experienced elements of role confusion because I began to wonder if this was the way that other people outside of my community look at me, especially people that come from higher positions of power. And I began to feel inferior about my options and my position in society. In terms of analyzing critical race theory, I really resonated with the video, the TED Talk, Urgency and Intersectionality, because I really admired how Professor Kimberly Crenshaw highlighted the importance of creating a framework that allows society to remember how oppression can show up institutionally. And it's a lot harder for the oppression to be called out because there is no framework for us to speak upon. I admire her stance on the importance of calling attention to social issues, and if I were to go back in time, I think I would apply this principle to address recruiters preying on individuals such as myself. I think I should have shared my feelings with other peers and possibly educators and administrators. If I did say something, it could have potentially encouraged administrators or the district to advocate less visits from recruiters and potentially more visits from college recruiters or career counselors as well. Even if it didn't result to that, I think that the conversation could have still been a very meaningful way to challenge systemic oppression. I think me being more educated now, all I could do is just apply this to later situations. Other than that, I appreciate your time and I hope that you enjoyed.